Welcome to the Misery Man. Christmas Eve is often thought of as the safest night of the year, a time of warmth, family, and celebration. In most homes, doors stay unlocked a little longer, lights burn a little brighter, and the world outside feels distant, muffled by a blanket of festive cheer. But on one quiet Christmas night in 1998, a family in Harris County, Texas, was about to learn a terrifying lesson. Safety is only a feeling. It's a fragile illusion that can be shattered in an instant. The most chilling part of their story isn't what was broken, but what wasn't. There was no forced entry into their home, no shattered windows, no splintered door frames. Yet, by the next morning, two people were gone, vanished from a house that was supposed to be a sanctuary. The mystery wasn't how someone got in, but the dawning horror that maybe they never had to. The story begins on Christmas Eve, 1998. Snow was falling gently over the quiet suburban streets of Harris County. Michael Turner pulled up to his sister's house just after 9 o'clock in the evening. The house glowed, a perfect picture of holiday contentment, its windows framed by twinkling Christmas lights that cast a warm, inviting aura against the deepening twilight. Inside, the familiar scent of pine and cinnamon filled the air. The living room was bathed in the soft, multicolored glow of the Christmas tree, its branches heavy with ornaments collected over the years. Beneath it, a small mountain of brightly wrapped gifts waited with silent anticipation for the morning. Everything looked exactly as it should. It felt warm, it felt familiar, it felt safe. But a small, unsettling detail pricked at the edge of Michael's consciousness. As he moved through the kitchen, he noticed the back door was unlocked, slightly ajar, letting a thin sliver of cold night air seep into the otherwise cozy home. He shut it, locked it, and dismissed the thought. It was Christmas Eve. After all, people get careless when they feel secure. A few minutes later, as the family gathered in the living room, Michael's young niece, the family's daughter, asked a strange and unsettling question. She had been looking out the large picture window, watching the snow fall. She turned to her mother and said someone kept walking past the window, back and forth, just beyond the reach of the porch light. Her tone was more curious than frightened. Michael went to the window and peered out into the darkness. The street was completely empty. There were no cars idling, no neighbors out for a late-night stroll. The fresh snow lay like a pristine, unbroken blanket over everything. There were no people. Just the silent, steady fall of snow. He assured her it was probably just a reflection or a trick of the light. A little later, the family's dog, usually eager for a trip outside, began to whine at the back door. When Michael's sister opened it, the dog refused to step out onto the porch. That's when Michael looked down and saw them, fresh footprints in the snow. They weren't heading away from the house, or even past it. They were leading directly toward it, stopping just short of the back porch, as if someone had stood there, watching, waiting. At exactly 10:02 p.m., the house was plunged into sudden, complete darkness. The Christmas tree lights went out, the television went silent, and the ambient hum of the refrigerator disappeared. Every light on the street went out simultaneously. There had been no storm, no crack of thunder, no warning at all, just an abrupt, suffocating silence. Michael's sister found some candles, and soon the living room was filled with the flickering, dancing light of a dozen small flames, casting long, distorted shadows that moved along the walls like living things. The initial nervous laughter faded, and the house grew quiet, the family's voices now hushed and low. Then came a knock at the front door. It wasn't a hurried, friendly rap. It was slow, deliberate. 3 distinct, evenly spaced knocks that echoed through the silent house. After a moment of hesitation, Michael's brother-in-law went to the door and opened it. No one was there. The porch was empty. The street beyond was a void of black. But sitting on the welcome mat was a small, plain cardboard box. Inside, it was filled with Polaroid photographs. They were all pictures of the house, taken from different angles. One showed the living room window from the street. Another was taken from the side yard. And the last one, the one that made Michael's blood run cold, was taken from inside the house, looking out from the darkened hallway toward the candlelit living room. A wave of panic washed over them. They slammed the front door and locked it, checking the deadbolt twice. Michael and his brother-in-law rushed through the house, ensuring every window was latched, every other door bolted. The house was now a fortress, sealed against the night. But the feeling of being watched didn't go away. In fact, it intensified. That's when they heard it. A sound from inside the house. A soft creak of a floorboard from the second floor, then another. The movements were careful, slow, and controlled. It wasn't the sound of a house settling. It was the sound of someone trying not to be heard. Michael grabbed a heavy fireplace poker, his heart pounding against his ribs. His brother-in-law grabbed the phone, but the line was dead. Suddenly, his sister let out a short, muffled scream from the hallway. She was pointing toward the downstairs bathroom. On the fogged-up surface of the bathroom mirror, 2 words had been freshly written, as if by a finger dragging through the condensation. "Merry Christmas." Moments later, from upstairs, there was a loud, sickening thud, like something heavy falling. Then, a single, sharp cry. And after that, the house went completely, unnaturally silent. The police arrived just before midnight, their flashing red and blue lights painting surreal, frantic patterns across the quiet, snow-covered house. From the outside, nothing looked amiss. The Christmas lights, now back on as the power had mysteriously returned, still twinkled cheerfully. Inside, the scene was one of bizarre normalcy. The tree was still lit. The neatly wrapped gifts remained untouched beneath its boughs. The candles had burned down 2 pools of wax. There was no sign of a struggle, no broken furniture, and crucially, still no evidence of a forced entry. Every door and window was securely locked from the inside. But Michael's brother-in-law and his niece were gone. His sister was found unconscious at the top of the stairs, with no memory of what had happened after the power went out. The police searched the house and the surrounding area for hours, but found nothing. When they questioned a dazed and trembling Michael, he could only repeat one thing, his voice barely a whisper, a chilling realization that had settled deep in his bones. "He didn't come in tonight," he said. "He was already here." Christmas, more than any other time of year, makes people feel safe. The traditions, the lights, the sense of community, it all builds a comforting wall against the darkness of the world. But that comfort can make people careless. It can lead us to overlook a door left unlocked, to dismiss a strange noise, to ignore the feeling that something isn't right. The story of the Turner family is a terrifying reminder that the most dangerous threats are often the ones we don't see coming, the ones that are already inside our walls before we even think to lock the door. So tonight, when you're in your home, surrounded by warmth and light, do a second check. Lock your doors. Check your windows. Pay attention to that instinct that tells you something feels off. And remember, true misery doesn't need to knock. This is The Misery Man. Subscribe for more realistic horror stories that will make you question what you think you know. Thank you for listening.